So if you guys want to learn how to make some super bulky, super chunky fingerless gloves, stay tuned. Things you will need include some super bulky number 6 yarn. This one is by Lion Brand, and it's very soft and just very chunky, so it's going to feel really nice on these fingerless gloves. And the net weight is 5 ounces, it is 81 yards or 74 meters. A pair of scissors, a tapestry darning weaving needle, doesn't have to curve, but that does make it easier. A crochet hook, size 9mm, which is what the yarn calls for, or you can use a size 10, which is what I'm using. And optional is just a yarn of a different color, a medium 4 yarn, so not as bulky. You see the difference? And it doesn't have to be variegated either. Alright, so we're going to start out with a slip knot. And we'll insert our crochet hook and then tighten. Alright, we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we have 6 chains, and when you're making these chains, you want to consider that this is going to serve as part that goes along your wrist. So this will be from your arm going up to your wrist, and then the actual part of the glove that will be on your hand will start here. Okay? Now we're going to skip this first chain there, the one closest to the hook, and we're going to put our first single crochet into the second chain. Remember, when you make the single crochet, you don't yarn over first. So let's just go into the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and then go through 2. Alright, and now we're going to put 1 single crochet into the 4 remaining chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last chain, 1 single crochet, and this will give you a total of 5 single crochets for the row. So there's 1 kind of tucked in there, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to chain 1 because we're making single crochets, turn our work, and then in this very first stitch at the very beginning, in fact it's the stitch that the chain 1 is coming out of, we're going to work into the back loop, and we're going to put a single crochet in there. So right in there, and just make a single crochet. Alright, and from this point on until I tell you otherwise, we'll be working in the back loops. So continue to put single crochets into the 4 remaining stitches. Now 3 remaining stitches. 2 remaining stitches, 1, and then there's 1 right there tucked away in that corner. Don't forget to put that single crochet in there because it's going to be very important. If you miss this on the end, this last stitch on the end, you're going to wind up with fewer stitches, and it's not going to be uniform. Alright, so this stitch right here, it helps to look at it from the top view. Stick your needle in there, your crochet hook, and then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We've maintained 5 stitches in both rows, and we've created a ridge because we're working into that back loop of every stitch below. Let's do 1 more row and then I will let you get to it. Chain 1, turn your work, go back into that same stitch, but the back loop, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2. So we know we have 4 more. 1, 2, 3. And this is that tough last stitch that I never want you to forget. So if you've been counting, which we did, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're already expecting a 5th stitch. So you know that in there somewhere you have to put another single crochet. But if you happen to not be counting, by just looking at it, especially from this angle, it looks like you might be done with the row, right? But you're not. So since we know we have to have a total of 5 stitches for each row, we know that there must be a stitch hiding in here. And of course, because the yarn is black, that doesn't make it any easier to find, but we will find it. So pull up, and you see that loop is for that one. So this one right here must be the top of the stitch that we're looking for. So just get your crochet hook in there, like that, yarn over, as normal, yarn over and go through, okay? So now we've completed 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and we're getting these bumps, these ridges, because we're working in the back loops. Basically, you're going to continue doing this until it fits around your wrist. For me, that is 17 rows total. So you're just going to have to keep crocheting rows and then periodically check it around your wrist to see if it fits or not, okay? You don't want it to be too loose because then it's going to fit loose on your wrist, around your wrist. And just think about when you put on gloves, you want to kind of, you know, have it a little snug so that you can kind of squeeze your fingers in there, and then as you open them, you know, there's give. Because of these ridges, you'll have that give. So factor that in when you're deciding how many rows you should make. As I said, I'm going to do 17, maybe 16, and I will meet you once I get to that point. Alright, this is what we have so far. We have 17 rows. So if you count the bumps, each bump is 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and then there's 1 more row. So 17 rows. Now I'm going to connect this. I'm going to connect this edge with this edge. Alright, so it's like this. If I bring it like that, and then turn it like that, I want to crochet over this tail so that I don't have to tuck it in later. Alright, so now we have our yarn, and I know it's black, I'm sorry about that, but I wanted black gloves. Sometimes you just gotta crochet with black. I might as well do it with you so you can get used to identifying your stitches in black when you're doing it on your own. So basically I'm just gonna go into the same stitch here, like that, from the one edge, and then I'm going to go over to the corresponding stitch of the other edge, and I'm going to make sure I lay that tail on top because I want to crochet over it. So now I'm going to make a single crochet, like that. Okay. I could slip stitch across, but I want to tuck in this tail so I can successfully tuck in the tail by crocheting over it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep on going in the stitches, and I have about 5 stitches because I had 5 stitches on each row. So I should have 5, lay the tail over. So I should have 5 single crochets for this as well. That's 2. Next stitch. And next stitch, lay the tail on top, yarn over, pull through, 3, 2 more, 1, 2, go into the stitch, go into the stitch on the other side as well, lay the tail on top, yarn over, pull through, And this is the part where you're crocheting over it. When you come to bring that up, make sure the tail is down and then yarn over. Now you're on top of the tail and you're crocheting over it. It's tucked in there. And then the last one, yarn over, keep that tail down, pull it through. Also, keep the tail down as you pull up for those 2 loops, the last remaining, and then yarn over and go through like that. Okay, so now that we're here, we're going to turn this like this, and this is going to be the top. You see this right here? This means that I did not get into the stitch properly, so I'm going to undo that. I'm glad that happened so you guys could see. So just go back 1, pull that out. Okay. Let's try this again. So we want to go in there. That's the 5th stitch. And remember, that corner one can be a tough one, which is why it deceived me. Alright, and then we want to go into the corner one of the other edge. Lay that down, the tail, yarn over, and pull all the way through. When you're pulling up on these loops, make sure that tail is down, yarn over, and go through your 2 remaining loops. Alright, that is much better. Now, since we're on this side, that will be up. And if this tail was longer, we could continue to crochet over it as we went around, because we're going to go around this now. But since it's so short, I'm just going to cut it right now. So now we're going to chain 1. And then in each row, and when I say row, I mean these rows. So at the end of each row, because we're at the top, so we're working at the end or beginning, depending on how you're looking at it, of these rows, we're going to put 1 single crochet around. So here's this right here. We'll put a single crochet in there. And then just kind of feel for the rows. Here's a row right there, so we'll put a single crochet there. Alright. This is another row right there, so we'll put a single crochet in there. And because these are the ends of the rows, you know, it's not going to be as neat or simple as working in the top of a stitch. That's okay, just get in where you can get in. Put a single crochet there. And we'll just continue to work our way around, roughly putting 2 single crochets between the ridges. Why? Because the ridges have 2 rows in between them. Here's a ridge, that's a row, that's a row, there's the next ridge. Here's a ridge, that's a row, that's a row, that's the next ridge. And notice we have 2 single crochets in between the ridges. So just do that around, and I will meet you once we get back to the beginning of this row. Alright, I have gotten back around. An indication of that is the fact that there's the tail that I cut, and right here is that chain 1. Okay, so what you're going to do is slip stitch to connect the round. It's going to be kind of tough to get in there, but just get in there. Work your way in there. Alright, yarn over and then pull all the way through. Now you're going to chain 2, because with this row we're going to make some half double crochets. Okay, so we just slip stitched in there, and there's a stitch that's right there. When we make these half double crochets, we're going to work into the back loops. Okay, so working into the back loops of these half double crochets, and I didn't mention it before, but I think you saw that I did not work in the back loops in the previous round where I made the single crochets. I just put single crochets in there. There weren't technically any really back loops to work in because we were working along an edge, so I didn't mention it. But just in case you were wondering, yes, we did not work or attempt to work in the back loops. But this row, we will work in the back loops. So for half double crochet, remember you yarn over, and then we're going to go into that back loop of that very first stitch. Trying to get a good angle for you guys. Right there. There you go. Alright, and yarn over, pull through, and you're going to have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Now this is the easy part. Yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Okay, that's the half double crochet. Let's make another one. Yarn over. Here's the next stitch, that back loop. 3 loops, yarn over, go through everything. Yarn over, next stitch, there's that back loop. Yarn over, pull through to the front. Yarn over, go through everything. One more. Yarn over, there's the next stitch, and there's the back loop. Yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through everything, okay? Continue around, putting 1 half double crochet in the back loop of each stitch, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Alright, now we're back around. Here's that chain 2. So we're just gonna slip stitch into that first half double crochet there. Like that. We're going to chain 2, and then in that same hole we're going to put a half double crochet. Okay, like that. Now we're going to work in between these stitches. So we're not going to go into the tops of them like we normally would. We're not going into the backs of them, that back loop, like we have been. We're going to work in between the stitches because it'll make it a little bit tighter, if you will. There'll be fewer holes, fewer gaps, and it'll give it a slightly different look. So let me show you what I mean when I say in between. You have this stitch and then you have this stitch right there. That's where we're going to go. So we yarn over, go in between the stitch, and then we make our half double crochet like normal, going through all 3 loops. Let's show it again. Yarn over, here's a stitch, here's a stitch. That's where we're going to go in, right there. Yarn over, pull through to the front. Now we're between that stitch and that stitch. Yarn over, go through all 3. Okay? Do this all the way around, and I will meet you once we get back here. Okay? As promised, I'm right there. There's the chain 2. We're going to slip stitch into it. And now we're going to chain 2 again. Split my yarn. Let me go back out and split it. Alright, there's the chain 2. Now we're going to make a half double crochet in the first 3 stitches. So this one, there, and there. Still working in between the stitches. Unless I tell you otherwise, we're going to be working in between the stitches again. Okay. And then one more right there. Alright, now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, this is going to be for the thumb hole. And we've chained 3. We're also going to skip 3 half double crochets in the row below or round below. So we're skipping that one, 1, we're skipping that one, 2, we're skipping that one, 3. And then this 4th stitch, that's where we're going to place our half double crochet, our next one. So we've chained 3 up here, we've skipped 3 down there, And now we want to put a half double crochet in that 4th stitch below. So yarn over, preparation for it, go, still in between the stitches. Let me show you, in between the 3rd and 4th stitches for that 4th stitch, yarn over, pull through the front so you can have 3 loops, and then yarn over, going through all the loops, making the half double crochet is the same. So now we have our thumb hole, and then we'll continue going in between the stitches, putting half double crochets around. Okay, I will meet you at the chain 2 at the beginning of this round. Okay, we're back at the chain 2 space. We're going to slip stitch in between that first half double crochet and the chain 2. So we're going to slip stitch into that chain 2 space like that. We're going to chain 2 more. And now we're going to put half double crochets all the way around in between the stitches. So I just want to show you one part. So we'll put half double crochet there right after the chain 2. When I yarn over, it's so ingrained in me I should say when I yarn over before going into a stitch, double crochets are so ingrained into me that I want to yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. But yeah, that's not what we're doing. We're making half double crochets, even like yarn over at the beginning. Okay, so this is the part that I wanted to show you. So we put our first 3 half double crochets in between the stitches. Now you might be wondering, how many half double crochet should I put here? Well, you're going to put the number that you chained. And by the way, if you think this hole is too big for your thumb, then you can chain fewer, so you can chain 2. I probably wouldn't go lower than 2 unless you have a really, really small thumb. Okay, so yeah, so we chained 3 here, so we're going to put 3 half double crochets in that chain 3 space. So the way you do it is just go in there, up under, yarn over, pull it up under and back forward, and then yarn over and go through all 3 loops. 1, 2, and 3, like that. And we're going to do this 2 more times because we made 3 chains, so that's taking the space for, we're taking the place for 3 stitches, and then 1 more. Okay, so now we've made it solid again. There's the hole, but we've made going forward solid. Okay, now for this one, because I don't want to miss a stitch, you can put the stitch that would normally go in there also in that chain 3 space, and that'll count as the stitch for that. So do you understand what I'm saying? So I made 3 chains. I chained 3 in the last round, so that's why these 3 half double crochets are there. Then normally I would be working in between the stitches, right? So here's that next stitch. This is that 4th stitch away from there, but the chain is up there, so I can't really, I wish I could show air quotes, work in between the stitches from there to that chain. So this is kind of a workaround. I'm working directly in front of that, and it happens to be hanging onto the chain. So that's the crocheting in between the stitches. Alright, so now I can continue on as normal. Yarn over. Now I have 2 stitches to work in between. Okay, to make my half double crochet. And I'm going to continue around like so. So we don't have any more gaps or holes or whatever, so going around is just working 1 half double crochet in between the stitches. I will see you at the chain 2 at the beginning of this round. Okay, we're back at the chain 2 space. We're going to slip stitch like that, and this time we're going to only chain 1. Okay, now we are back to the single crochets, and we are back for this round only back into working into the back loops, or that's a lot of backs, right? We've returned to working into the back loops for just this round. Okay, so we chained 1, and we're going to work a single crochet in the back loops of the first 3, and then we're going to decrease. Alright, so we slip stitch, and here's the first stitch, so we work into the back loop, just a single crochet, so we do not yarn over first. And you'll understand why I'm periodically working in the back loops later. Okay, so we just slip stitch, chain 1, and we worked 1 single crochet into the back loops of the first 3 stitches. Okay, now we're going to decrease, because we're going to be decreasing after every 3 single crochets. And by the way, we're still going to be making single crochets when we decrease. So the way you do a single crochet decrease working into the back loops is go into the back loop, yarn over, pull through where you have 2 loops, and now instead of yarning over and going through 2 to complete the single crochet, we're going to take the next stitch and we're going to go into the back loop of that stitch, yarn over and pull through. So now we have 3 loops, yarn over, and just as with the half double crochet, we're going to go through all 3 loops. Okay, so what this has essentially done is it's taken these 2 stitches, that one, and made it into one, which is that one. And you see there's just 1 top. Okay, so now that we've done that, we've worked into these 2 stitches, we're going to single crochet to the back loops of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Now it's time to decrease again. So we're going to basically make these 2 stitches become 1. So insert our hook, we're working in the back loops, yarn over, pull through, and you're going to have 2 loops. Now go into the next stitch, that back loop still, and yarn over and pull through. Now you're going to have 3 loops. Now we can yarn over and go through all the loops. Once again, we've taken this stitch and this stitch and decreased it to this 1 stitch, as is evidenced by the 1 top there. So these 2 tops have become that 1 top. Alright, now 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, like normal. 1, 2, 3, decrease, back loop, yarn over, pull through, next stitch, back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3. 3 single crochets, 1 in each stitch, working in the back loops. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3. Okay, those are our 3 single crochets, and look where we're at. We're at the place where we slip stitch, so we don't have any more room to do a decrease, which is fine. So now we're going to slip stitch into that chain 1, which is always hard when it's just chain 1, but just identify your first stitch, which is there, and just go before it. Slip stitch, like that, going all the way through. Okay, now for our final round or row, we're going to chain 1, and we're just going to put 1 single crochet in between the stitches all the way around. Okay, so no more working in the back loops. Alright, so this is the chain 1, we slip stitch. Now let's go in between, because there's the first stitch. We're working in between the stitches, and remember, we're just putting single crochets now. So between this single crochet and that single crochet is that hole, so we go in there, between this single crochet and that single crochet is that hole, so we go in there. And you're just gonna keep doing that around. This will go by really fast, you guys. So I'm just gonna stay on camera. Now, you can periodically put the glove on and check it and see how it's fitting on your hand, especially if you're making it for yourself. And if you find that it's too tight or small, you know, towards the edge where you decrease, then you don't have to decrease that row. You can keep the same number of stitches. Alright, so I'm still making single crochets between the stitches. Working my way slowly but surely back around. And between this single crochet and this single crochet, that's the last one. Now, so here's the chain one, and then that's the first single crochet of the row. For this, we're going to go into the top of that stitch there. Yarn over, pull all the way through, because you're slip stitching, and then chain one, cut our yarn, and then pull through like that. So we'll take our darning needle, and remember when you're working with chunky yarn like this, it can be kind of tough, so I like to twist mine and then fold it so it's not splitting, and then try to get it on that way. And just kind of try to grab it where you can. But each time you grab it, make sure that your fingertips are getting close to the eye of the needle so that you're grabbing the yarn in areas that you maybe had not caught before. Okay. Alright, and now we're just gonna, as normal, work through some stitches going one way and then the other way. So this is black, so it'll be really easy to not really be able to tell what's going on. That's one benefit of black yarn. Probably the only. Other than it can look cool and go with many different things. Okay? We want to hold on to that because we don't want to have to struggle trying to weave that yarn back in. And then stretch that back out like that. Alright, and then let's go in the other direction. Just going through stitches in the other direction like that. I don't like to split the yarn where it's not supposed to be split. It's just my preference. I see some people doing it. I think my obsessive side, just it really bugs me to see like someone splitting yarn like that. So I never do it intentionally, or I should say, if I do it unintentionally, I don't leave it. Usually I'll take the yarn back through and kind of rework it. Alright, and then I am going to just pull this so that it's on the inside. So I'll just go through a stitch, use my crochet hook and pull it in. You can tie a knot, but I'm not going to do it this time. I've shown that in other videos. I'm just going to cut my yarn, because it should be very secure. And I'm trying not to obsess while on camera. Anyway. Alright, and so this is what you have. This nice glove. Fingerless glove, I should say. This nice fingerless glove. So you can make 2 of these, and right now this one is set up to be for my left hand because the thumb hole is on the right side. But guess what? What's the pattern for the right hand? It's the same pattern, just do that. And now you have a thumb for that side. Alright, so this is how you make fingerless gloves, and you can feel free to do this to stop here. These are nice and chunky. I wanted to make some really chunky fingerless gloves, especially since it's getting really cold out. This next part is a bit of an embellishment, and you're also in this next part going to see why I crocheted this row in the back loop and then that one in the back loop. I wanted to leave these loops out so that I could do something cool with them. So stay tuned for that if you want to see that, or if you are done and this is good, then thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so I'm going to take some different yarn, and this one is probably like a medium 4. It's not the bulky or chunky yarn at all. It's definitely less chunky. It's probably, like I said, a medium 4, and I'm just going to take some of it, take a good bit, and then I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to put it through my weaving needle, tapestry needle, darning needle, and then I am going to tie a little knot. In fact, I'm going to tie 2. Neither of which will be tight, but just so it stays on. Okay, so now I'm going to take my glove. Alright, so here's the thumb hole, and then I'm going to start in this loop right here. Basically, I'm going to come from there, but I want to come from the inside because I don't want it to be visible where I'm starting and where I'm ending. So I'm going to go in the hole like this, and then I'm going to bring it on this side, on the underside of that loop. And by the way, it's that loop right there that you're wondering. Like that. Okay. So that loop right there, that's where I'm starting. And basically all I'm going to do is go up. So I'll go up and then over one loop. So I'll just follow that up and then over. And just go under the loop. Pulling. See how it's working? And then when I go down and I come over like that, I'm going to skip a loop down here. So skip that loop, and then I'm going to go up under that one and bring it up. Now you want to keep this loose, and you want to pull. Let's work from the beginning. This is all the extra that we have. You want to pull a lot of that extra so that you have enough to work around the glove with. Okay, so this is about how much I have at this end. So that when you pull, it won't tighten it like that, right? Because you've already afforded yourself that slack. I meant to do that at the beginning, but I didn't, so this is workaround. Make sure no knots happen. Okay, good as new. So now that we have all the slack on the needle side, we can just continue doing what I was saying. So we're going to skip that loop and go into this one. Just go up under the loop and come out on the other side. Like that. And then when we go down, we're going to skip that one and go there, up under that loop and out. And see, it creates these nice little triangles. So for up here, we'll skip that one, but go into the next one. Entering from up under, behind, and out through the top. And then when it's time to go down here, skip that one and go to the next one, entering from up under, behind, and coming out through the top. And you'll just keep working your way around the glove like so. Skip. So you always want to have a loop in between where your yarn entered and exited. This one, that's the one we used, so we skip that one, and you might have to unfold your glove a little bit. So we skip that one, and now we're going to work into this one. Remember, you don't want it to be super tight, just not taut, really. But just, you know, so it lays flat like that. Alright, let's see. Where am I? Alright, so up here, not that one, but that one. You just kind of straighten it out, stretch it, not stretch it, but just kind of straighten it out so you see what's what. Alright, and then not this one, but that one. Alright, not this one, but that one. Not this one, but that one. And it really goes by fast. If I wasn't explaining this to you, that would have been done a long time ago. Let's see. Not this one, but that one. There's our tail. We can do some more cutting of that later. And then, not this one, but that one. This tail is the tail coming from the beginning, so don't confuse it. And then, not this one, but that one. And then, not this one, but that one. Okay, now that we're at the thumb hole, remember the thumb hole is made up of basically 3 stitches. It was 3 chains and then 3 stitches above and also below. So we're going to work into the loop of that center. So 1, 2, 3 into the center one like that. And now we're just going to go around the circle to kind of give the thumb hole a little embellishment like that. Just go in and around so that it has this design. Get in where you can get in, nothing super fancy. Okay. See, I'm just going in and coming out the back inside the hole and then bringing it back out the hole. This. Alright, and now that I'm back there, when I come out, I want to come out the same hole that I went in initially. So I went down and then I went in, right? And then I went around. Now I want to come back through that hole. I'm trying to make the top of the triangle, and then not this one, but that one I could do right there, like that. And then I have this hole which kind of has this, you know, design around it, and then I also have that triangle there. Alright, so to finish off, I'm going to go around this loop and then I'm going to push it into the glove, inside the glove like this. I'm going to bring it down and out, okay? Alright, so that's what it looks like on the outside. This is what it's looking like on the inside. So now I want to kind of do this, and I was mindful to come out close to where I first started so that I could tie a knot. So we can cut this off now. I've separated it from the darning needle. Just cut this of a comparable length. And now I want to tie a first knot. It's super tight. And then I want to unfold it and kind of see how things are looking. I don't want anything to be too taut or too loose. Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. So now I can tie my knots for real. 1 and then 2. Then I can cut my yarn. And that's on the inside, so you don't have to worry about that. This right here, where it was coming out, that's just the tail. Let's just cut it down further. Alright, and this, my friends, is what you end up with. So, just a little design. So this is what it looks like if I put it on. So it's a nice chunky fingerless glove with a bit of an embellishment, but I bet you won't see anyone with these around. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this fingerless glove tutorial. It's nice chunky fingerless gloves with a bit of an embellishment to kind of make it your own, make it unique. If you have enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to give it a like, and I hope to hear from you guys in the comment section. I love getting your comments and responding to them. If you know of anyone that you think might benefit from my teaching of crochet, my style of teaching, then please share this video. I will see you guys in the next video. In the meantime, happy crocheting.